Welcome to the Bank First Ranger Hour. Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 Spotlight on Northwest Community College. And you can listen to our live stream at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour. Now, here's your host, Gary Darby.
In the saddle and ready to go with you on this Thursday morning. Welcome to the Bank First Ranger Hour. Thursday, May 22nd edition in the year 2025. Morning, friends. Back to do this program today, the Bank First Ranger Hour. We'll do our North Mississippi Spotlight program on Friday with a lot of sports. I'll tell you about that at the back end of the program, but let me tell you what's on tap in today's Bank First Ranger Hour. Dr. Andrew Dale is going to join us in the next segment. Kind of put the cap on another semester of education, although summer schools and sessions and things will continue at Northwest. But we'll get into some discussions of summer camps, other things coming up in the camp world and summertime discussion with Dr. Dale for a few minutes. And then we're going to go to Oxford, Alabama. That's where the Northwest softball team is one of the final 8 teams playing for a national championship. Brian Lentz is there at the park. I've already seen photo evidence put up on the social media sites. First pitch is 10 o'clock. For the Rangers in an elimination game. And right before it starts, we'll chat with Brian about that and maybe another item or two of business with him. And then I'll put the wraps on the program. So that's where we are and what we're doing on today's show. Hey, always, too, if you're looking for any of the information and things that we talk about, the websites are great. The social media sites in all forms with Northwest are there. But if you're looking at anything academically, it's northwestms.edu. You can go there. They have someone always ready to chat with you online and answer some of your questions. But you could do a little bit of everything. Go to programs, you can go to admissions, you can go to financial aid. You can click on the news tab to see what's happening in all forms, whether it is classroom stuff or whether it is, things that one of the many, bands may be putting on or theater. You get the picture, right? northwestms.edu. Anything in athletics is nwccrangers.com. And, of course, it is heindelcenter.org. And I'll do a little reminder for you of things coming up at the Heindel Center as they are starting to, release some of the fall schedule. You get Lance Burton, a master magician, to kind of start things off in August with the Spinners. And then Crowder making the way in. And October the 3rd, John Michael Montgomery. That's right. So a little bit of everything, right? You see the Spinners, you see Crowder, you see John Michael Montgomery, you get a little magic, all inside the Heindel Center. And it's Heindel Center for the Performing Arts on the Northwest Campus at heindelcenter.org. You can check it all out, all of the events, ways to get tickets, all of the plans that you want, individual shows. You can get the season tickets. You can do it all at the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts. Great way to keep up with everything that's going on at heindelcenter.org. Again today, right before Northwest gets ready to take the field after a couple of games yesterday, losing to the number 1 overall seed, St. John's River State College, and then getting a win in the elimination round as they beat Bryant and Stratton College. I'll do some research. We'll find out exactly where those schools are located when we talk with Brian a little bit later on in the program. All of that and more headed your way on today's show. Off and running. Well, I'm sitting. You may be running. The show is running at 9:14 on your Thursday morning. Take a trip by phone, see if we can't find Dr. Andrew Dale somewhere. Talk a little bit about Northwest academically and other things with camps and more next.
This hour is everything Northwest. Your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College and powered by Bank First. Thanks for joining us on the Bank First Ranger Hour. Join the conversation now by texting 662-426-1093.
Always there for you to keep in touch with the program. We're closing in on 9:20. It is a Bank First Ranger Hour. Gary Darby in studio, and we'll go to the phones and bring in Dr. Andrew Dale to start us off. Good morning.
Good morning, Gary Darby. How are you?
We're here. Sun is shining. We're getting a chance to talk Northwest. All is well in my world, and I hope it is with you. We were kind of talking a little bit last day of school for my young ones. Now I've got young ones. You've got older ones that will be all in your house, and we were joking the grocery bill probably for yours might be a little bit higher than mine's about to be.
Yeah, it's a fun part of summer. We're excited about it.
I can feel it.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot going on at the college. You know, the graduation was a little over a week ago, and we've got our students off campus, but we're looking towards summer here as well. Chick-fil-A is going to be running some summer hours, 11 till, I should probably know that before. They're open for lunch and dinner. They're not doing breakfast in the summer because the students aren't here to rush before class to have their chicken biscuits. But the summer camps that we have on campus will be here. We're excited about them. The cafeteria will be open. Our students for summer school will be back after the holiday break, so we've had a couple weeks without students, but they'll be coming back soon. And I wanted to talk to you today about those summer camps. We've had several successful years with them, and I've got 3 to talk with you about today.
You want to start let's start with START, why don't we? Okay?
Yeah. It's a fun acronym. So Ranger START Camp. It's Science, Technology, Arts, Recreation, and Tools. So START. And if you go to northwestms.edu/camps, you can find the page that is very descriptive on all things Ranger START Camp. It talks about the days that they will be on campus and the things that they get to do. So there are really a lot of fun things. I was just looking through last year's pictures of that, and the students that participated in that camp, so it's for 3rd through 8th graders, they got on the football field with our championship football coaches. They got on the soccer pitch with our national championship football coach. They were in the art classroom learning from some really, really talented artists that we have. They've done some pottery in the past. I don't see any pictures where they did that last summer, but I do believe they did. We just didn't have the cameras in the room. So that's always a lot of fun. They went to the library and all engaged in some 3D printing. I see some really fun things and some very cool happy faces with the students who are learning how to work the 3D printer. And then they got outside, had a ball with some outdoor games and looks like some water hoses and some water balloons and some, there's some shaving cream there, just anything messy. So just a fun time to explore things on campus. there was some engagement in some of the classrooms as well, where they learned some science things. They've dissected some really unique pieces. I think a sheep's heart was one of the things that they were able to get their hands on. There's some real fun faces with those pictures you could just imagine. And a couple other unique things, just trying to explore science, technology, arts, and tools. And there's a whole lot of recreation in the mix
and
with that stuff.
Yeah, I know, and in following this too, Dr. Dale, that over the years, and I know it's still kind of in its infancy. It's been going on, what, 3 maybe? 4 years, 2 or 3. Anyway, it's obviously grown and become something larger each and every year that people are finding out about and really taking part in on the Northwest campus.
Yes, a lot of our staff are engaged in that, and they bring their children to it. But it's the local community as well. We have folks from South Haven and Batesville bring their students to campus. I think that there were about 80 kids on campus last summer with that, and it adds a little bit of activity in the cafeteria that isn't normally there during the summer, so that's a lot of fun too. But it's really cool just to see folks and their students just exploring different things on campus and kind of just enjoying what is happening here. It's a activity that we don't normally get to do in an average week or even a weekend. So having the children be able to get their hands on something helps develop an idea or something. Hey, this was possible for me. I could do this. This is real. I've done it before, or I was in that room. And so it kind of opens their concept of what the future could look like for them. So that's kind of what we want to do.
3rd through 8th grade, June 16th through 18, $150. Faculty, staff, 10% off. And again, like moms, dads, you're looking for something for those days. You kind of check in from 7:30 to 8, and then you can pick them up from 3:30 to 4. Give them some great, it's education of all kinds. As Dr. Dale said, a little bit of science, technology, art, recreation, and tools. It's called START. Very smart, whoever came up with that. Where else are we going with you?
Well, so the other 2 camps are just one-day activities, and it's cheer camp and dance camp, and they're June 12th and June 13th sequentially. They're $40 each, and they're in the afternoon. And so you get to experience some time with our national championship cheer coach and cheer team members, and the same for our dance team. So they just are off their national championship. Actually, the cheer team celebrated their ring ceremony this week, and the dance team does their ceremony next week. Tonight, we're celebrating football. It's ring season here at Northwest. So the students will be in the studio with those teams, in the locker room. It's just this ginormous gym that is just decked out for cheer and dance specifically. And they'll learn a routine. They'll be able to understand the specifics of what that looks like here on campus, but also just have fun and just get the jiggles out in the afternoon, which is really, it's just calisthenics for kindergartners almost. So my children aren't as young anymore, and I used to be able to y'all go just run around the house 5 times. Well, this is kind of what that is, but with a purpose. And so we're learning how to cheer and we're learning how to dance. That's a lot of fun too. So it makes really good photos, and I was looking at those from last year too. Lots of happy faces, both from our students and the ones that showed up.
Absolutely. Last thing before we let you go, I know summer sessions are getting ready. There's still things to do. You can go online, obviously, and check it all out. But just because maybe most of the students are gone, there's still going to be some trying to get an education here in the next couple of months.
Absolutely. northwestms.edu, or come on campus in Oxford, here in Senatobia, or in South Haven, and connect with a counselor and get a jump on what happens next year or catch back up from what happened last year. That's why we're here. If you're home for the university and you need to catch another class, this is one of the best ways to get ahead, is to just take a class during the summer or 2. They're either online or they're face-to-face, or there's some version of between those 2. And the opportunity for and the price point, it's just so good to be able to take that class, transfer it back to the university if you're in that mode. Really can get you ahead.
Always good talking with you, sir. We're going to make a trip to Oxford, Alabama by phone next. Bring in Brian Lentz with just a couple of minutes left to go.
I've already got my TV pulled up, waiting for the game to start.
Well, we got, 32 minutes before it does, and so I'll try and take about half of that with Brian, okay?
Thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you very much. Dr. Andrew Dale with us talking about camps and more going on at Northwest Community College, northwestms.edu. I better get the call to Brian quickly because it is right around 30 minutes left to go before things start. Northwest Soccer, one of 8 teams left to go fighting for a national championship. We'll talk about it next. Softball, excuse me. Need to know what I'm talking about, don't I?
Thanks for listening to the Bank First Ranger Hour, your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College on Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 and streaming live at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour.
All right, minutes away from Northwest softball as 8 teams remain playing for a national championship. Let's go to Oxford, Alabama. Bring in Brian Lentz. Hello.
Gary, we've done a lot of events, and I've talked about a lot of events. I've even been on the road before when I've joined you, but I think this may be the first time I'm actually live on location at our event taking place today. And as you mentioned, it is Northwest softball and an elimination game against Pima. But, yeah, it's a good day here in Oxford, Alabama. I don't know what the weather's like back home, but sunny skies, good-looking field in front of us, and Northwest is about ready to go here in a little bit.
We got some sunshine and low 80s today, some scattered stuff over the weekend. All right, so before we really get going, it's Choccolocco, right? That's where you are?
Yes, Choccolocco, which we were talking about it before we came on the air. Somebody was saying how it kind of sounds like Choco Taco, and that's all they were going to think about, which has always been my thoughts ever since we came here in 2022. But they do have a plaque here, and they nicknamed this place the Big House, and it was built in 2016. And so Choccolocco is actually a Creek Indian term, which is translated as ceremonial ground, or more simply, Big House. So hence the name of the facility, and it is a pretty big place. Don't get me wrong. It's several softball fields, 9 of them to be exact, as well as one main field, which is the one we're on today, and also a main baseball field. And a lot of teams have started having their college conference tournaments here. The Atlantic Sun had their tournament here a few weeks ago. Some high schools in Alabama have hosted events here. So for those who don't know where Oxford, Alabama is, it's close to Anniston. So kind of in the northeastern part of the state, and not too far from Talladega either. That's where the kickoff banquet was on Sunday night. All the buses got to take a lap around the racetrack there in Talladega, which, by the way, if you've never been on the racetrack there, the banks on TV around every turn, they're a lot steeper and a lot larger than they look. And I think if any of our buses would have gone up that far, they probably would have all tipped over.
Yeah,
so,
there's no doubt about
we
that.
We didn't go on the high banks or anything like that, but we did take a lap around the lower part of the track, and that was a cool experience for all the teams here.
Excellent. So yesterday, win one, lose one. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Northwest, first of all, Monday, they had a pretty good outing in the tournament opener against Phoenix College, picked up a 6-1 victory there. Morgan Bruton getting the win in a complete game. They had a day off and then came back yesterday against the top-seeded team and defending national champions, which was St. John's River State out of Florida. And unfortunately, that one didn't go as well for Northwest. Lost 7-1, made a couple errors at a bad time, and gave up a grand slam early on. That kind of set the tone for St. John's River State in that game. But Northwest did, even though getting sent down to the elimination bracket, they still recovered nicely. Last night picked up a 6-1 victory against Bryant and Stratton College out of Wisconsin. That was another complete game outing for Morgan Bruton where she got the win there. Northwest now sitting with 44 wins on the year. they are taking on. They're the number 9 seed in the tournament. They're facing the number 7 seed Pima Community College out of Tucson, Arizona. And Pima is a 50-win team. They're the number 7 seed in this tournament. And looking at their numbers, just at a glance, they're batting .390 as a team with a .618 slugging percentage. And in the circle, they have a .276 ERA. How that compares to Northwest is that the Rangers are also a team that is batting well over .300, of course, led by Ellie Fryer with a .438 batting average. But as far as the team goes, Northwest is batting .339 on the year, and their ERA as a team right now is a .275, led by Morgan Bruton's .250 ERA. And Bruton, by the way, 26-3 in the circle this season. She is now tied for the most wins in a single season with Gabby Dickerson from 2022. She also got 26 wins. Bruton is in the circle today for this game, so if she does get the win, she'll become the single-season wins leader for a Northwest pitcher. So that's something to keep our eye on for this game.
8 teams left, 3 from Mississippi, right?
Yes. And they will all play later. In fact, there's a possibility you may have a Mississippi versus Mississippi matchup later. So the winner of this game against Northwest and Pima will play later tonight at 6 p.m., and that'll be against the loser of St. John's River State and Co-Lin. So if Northwest does draw Co-Lin, that'll be the 5th time that the Rangers and the Wolves have squared off this season. And if they draw St. John's River State, of course, that'll be the 2nd time that they've played in the tournament. So a familiar matchup either way for the Rangers, but they got to get through this game against Pima first.
And then Jones is on the other side taking on Murray State in a winner's bracket game with Johnson County and Iowa Central. Those are the ones that are all left out of – how many teams started in the event, Brian?
It was 20 teams, a little bit different than when we were here in 2022. I believe the tournament field was only 16 back then. I could be wrong. But I know the bracket has been drawn differently since then because you have a larger amount of at-large bids in this tournament. So we started with 20 teams down to 8. That's not a bad finish if you're Northwest at all. To compare to 2022, Northwest went 4-2 in the national tournament, and they were one of 4 teams left remaining. So if the Rangers can get another win here, they'll at least be in the top 6 and possibly on the path to still having a top 4 finish at the very least.
All right, so how do we keep up with the game which starts here now in 20 minutes?
Yes, so they have free live stats available. I put that link on our schedule page on nwccrangers.com for softball. So the live stats are free, play-by-play to follow. To watch the game, you do need a subscription. It is the NJCAA network. I believe you can pay a certain amount for one game, or you get a tournament pass for, I believe, $25, something like that. So it's all pay-per-view. But if you're a Ranger fan, look, it's worth tuning in and catching this team. And they've had a good year. They've had a good run. This has been the most wins in a single season for Northwest, 44 wins, and they've never had a 40-win season before. And look, just because they're in the elimination bracket does not mean they can't come out and win this whole thing. So something to keep in mind. The girls, I'm looking at them now in their pregame huddle. They're still fired up. They're still ready to go. They're not letting that one loss define them against St. John's River. And we'll see how things turn out here against Pima, but there's still spirits high in the Northwest dugout. That is for sure. I'm
going to let you go right after this because Dr. Andrew Dale kind of made a light bulb click for me. There have been a lot of ring ceremonies for different sports at Northwest, a couple already and more to come. It's been kind of, and look, I know over the past few years, championships have been won, but it's been another special athletic season, both on the field and in the classroom for Northwest.
Yes, absolutely. And let me touch on the classroom part of things for a minute. They had 163 student athletes make the athletic director's honor roll. Now, I haven't seen the president and vice president's list come out just yet, but just to tell you how impressive that was for Northwest student athletes, several teams had a 3.0 team GPA or better. Softball, since we're on the softball subject, they had a 3.85 team GPA for the spring, and everybody on the roster had a 3.0 or better.
Wow.
Same thing for men's and women's tennis. Everybody on the men's and women's tennis roster had a 3.0 GPA or higher as well. In fact, the exact numbers, 11 teams finished with a 3.0 GPA or better. Softball, women's golf, baseball, football, men's golf, men's soccer, volleyball, and women's basketball. So as much as we talk about the championships at Northwest, and we do win a lot of them, which is always a good thing when you talk about the ring ceremonies. But just another reminder for the folks out there, I mean, they call it student athlete for a reason. And our academic staff does an excellent job with our student athletes. And our student athletes even, for the most part, they also do a tremendous job in the classroom. I mean, they come in, they know what they need to do, not just to stay eligible, but just to, further themselves in their degree seeking path. And that's saying a lot when you have every member of a team like softball, which is 20-some-odd players, and they all have 3.0 GPAs or better in the classroom. So same thing with tennis as well on that front. A lot of them for football, baseball, all the other sports that I mentioned as well. So academics, once again, just for everybody out there, academics is also a big part of what we do at Northwest, and it shows year in and year out on and off the field.
Tremendous. One thing, shout out to whoever was involved and put out the video for soccer and the run to the national championship. I had an opportunity to sit down and watch that yesterday. Well done, Brian.
Yeah, that was, I'll give credit there, Matthew Mixon in our communications department. He's our digital media specialist. Is responsible. Anytime you see a video on there, hype video, recap video for football, everything else like that, that's done by Matthew Mixon, and not just for sports. He does it for the whole college as well. So anytime Northwest Mississippi Community College is putting out a video, you can thank Matthew Mixon for doing all that hard work there. So shout out to him.
We appreciate the chance to talk with you today live there before we get things started. We'll follow along as best as possible and see how far this chase goes for another national championship. Thanks, Brian.
Yep, I'm going to be thinking about Choco Tacos now that we talked about that at the start of the interview.
Were you
Choccolocco Park.
Were you a fan of Choco Tacos?
I mean, I believe I had a few that I can remember. I mean, it was way back when I was younger, but I mean, look, like I said to start the interview, that was, I believe, Sarah and Fly that responded to my tweet with that, and I said the same thing when we were here 3 years ago. Like when I first heard that it was going to be here, and I've never been to Oxford, Alabama before, but as soon as they said Choccolocco Park, I'm like, that just sounds like a candy or an ice cream or just some sort of food. And Choco Taco was the first thing that came to mind. So, nonetheless, once again, beautiful ballpark, great facilities here. The city of Oxford, Alabama has been absolutely great. So, we've enjoyed our time here.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
Brian Lentz, live from Choccolocco Park, Oxford, Alabama. And again, kind of in between Talladega and Atlanta, okay? You've probably all made that, not all of you, but a lot of you have made that run before as a Braves fan or just headed that direction or to Talladega or wherever. And it's about an hour away from Atlanta, a little bit less than that to get to Talladega. I remember this was many, many, many years ago, having a friend that grew up here in my early age, and then they moved to Anniston, which you heard Brian mention. And I remember going over, visiting at their home as a youngster, and the race was actually going on, and they were 30 to 45 miles away, and you could hear the roar of the engines in the yard as we were out kind of hanging out and doing things there. So that's where they are in Oxford, Alabama. Again, it's the first of the games to be played in the NJCAA Division II National Championship tournament today. Northwest taking on Pima out of Tucson, Arizona. The loser eliminated. The winner moves forward and plays at 6 o'clock tonight. So Northwest with a win would advance and, as Brian said, take on the loser of St. John's River State, which is the defending national champion and a team that gave Northwest their loss yesterday. Arco-Lynn out of Wesson, Mississippi. So good luck to Coach Bramlett and the Ranger softball team, and an opportunity to advance one of the final 8. You can keep up with the live stats again at NWCC Rangers, .com, or you can get the game by going to the NJCAA website and watch it and keep up with what's going on. First pitch about 12 minutes away. Another shout out to a sports team. We talked about things academically, but the women's golf team, the first to get an opportunity to play in a national championship situation, and they finished 15th. And again, this program's just getting started. So shout out to them as well. And then good luck to the Northwest softball team about to start here in the top of the hour. Oxford, Alabama, still hunting another national championship. They're one of the final 8 that are playing in NJCAA Division II today. Couple of items of business, and we will let you go as our Bank First Ranger Hour concludes here. And in the last couple of minutes, we thank Dr. Andrew Dale for being on, talking with us about the START camp. If your kids are looking for something to do in the middle of June, they have a great opportunity with both academics and athletics in that camp. northwestms.edu or any of the other camps or summer sessions or anything you need. You go to northwestms.edu. And again, keep up with Northwest softball. They get ready to start now in about 6 minutes as they'll try and advance from a group of 8 into a group of 6. They'll play at 6 tonight with a win, and we hope that's true. Northwest taking on Pima out of Arizona. NWCCRangers.com for the live stats. Off I go into my Thursday, and I hope you're back with us for the Friday between 9 and 10 for North Mississippi Spotlight. That'll wrap up our Bank First Ranger Hour. Until tomorrow morning, so long.